here, looking at Psalms 90 for our exposition today. And this psalm may be titled, The Prayer of Moses, a Man of God. And it might be subtitled, From Everlasting to Everlasting. And we're going to get into the introduction, followed by the exposition on verse 1. As far as the title goes, A Prayer of Moses, the Man of God. Many attempts have been made to prove that Moses did not write this psalm, but we remain unmoved in the conviction that he did so. The condition of Israel in the wilderness is so preeminently illustrative of each verse, and the turns, expressions, and words are so similar to many in the Pentateuch, that the difficulties suggested are, to our mind, light as air in comparison with the internal evidence in favor of its Mosaic origin. Moses was mighty in word as well as deed, and this psalm we believe to be one of his weighty utterances, worthy to stand side by side with his glorious oration recorded in Deuteronomy. Moses was peculiarly a man of God and God's man, chosen of God, inspired of God, honored of God, and faithful to God in all his house. He well deserved the name which is here given him. The psalm is called a prayer, for the closing petitions enter into its essence, and the preceding verses are a mediation preparatory to the supplication. Men of God are sure to be men of prayer. This was not the only prayer of Moses. Indeed, it is but a specimen of the manner in which the seer of Horeb was lent to commune with heaven and intercede for the good of Israel. This is the oldest of the Psalms and stands between the two books of Psalms as a composition unique in its grandeur and alone in its sublime antiquity. Many generations of mourners have listened to this psalm when standing around the open grave, and have been consoled thereby, even when they have not perceived its special application to Israel in the wilderness, and have failed to remember the far higher ground upon which believers now stand. And so we get to the exposition on verse 1. Verse 1 that reads, Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. And so Spurgeon exposits, Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. We must consider the whole psalm as written for the tribes in the desert, and then we shall see the primary meaning of each verse. Moses in effect says, Wanderers, though we be in the howling wilderness, yet we find a home in thee, even as our forefathers did when they came out of Ur of the Chaldees, and dwelt in tents among the Canaanites. To the saints, the Lord Jehovah, the self-existent God, stands instead of mansions and roof trees. He shelters, comforts, protects, preserves, and cherishes all his own. Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the saints dwell in their God, and have always done so in all ages. Not in the tabernacle or the temple do we dwell, but in God himself, and this we have always done since there was a church in the world. We have not shifted our abode. Kings' palaces have vanished beneath the crumbling hand of time. They have been burned with fire and buried beneath mountains of ruins. But the imperial race of heaven has never lost its regal habitation. Go to the Palatine and see how the Caesars are forgotten of the halls which echoed to their despotic mandates, and resounded with the plaudits of the nations over which they ruled. And then look upward and see in the ever-living Jehovah the divine home of the faithful, untouched by so much as the finger of decay. Where dwelt our fathers 100 generations since, there dwell we still. It is of New Testament saints that the Holy Ghost has said, He that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in God, and God in him. It was a divine mouth which said, Abide in me, and then added, He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. It is most sweet to speak with the Lord as Moses did, saying, Lord, thou art our dwelling place. And it is wise to draw from the Lord's eternal condescension reasons for expecting present and future mercies, as the psalmist did in the next psalm, wherein he describes the safety of those who dwell in God. Well, trust you enjoyed the exposition on verse 1 and the exposition on the title. Michael here declaring yet again, Jesus is Lord. On to the next time.